Well, something interesting is happening over at the White House, and it's causing a lot of chatter over the internet. So today, I want to really dive into what is going on and why it's happening. But for starters, I got to give you guys a smile on your face because this is absolutely awesome. Donald Trump has just unveiled a presidential walk of fame, and he actually replaced Biden's portrait with, the auto pen. Take a watch of this video that they posted. This is absolutely hilarious. You see all the presidents lined up, good to go. And then obviously we're getting a little bit more into the later territory, shall I say. There's Donald Trump, and here we go. Oh, Lord. And there's Donald J. Trump. I thought that was absolutely awesome. Brought a smile to my face because everybody knows Joe Biden wasn't really in charge. I mean, the guy is so gone mentally. He can't even put a sentence together. But with that, what the heck is going on at the White House? Well, as it turns out, there are truckloads of anti-scale fencing going up all around the White House. The reason why? Well, you're about to find out. But before I do, just a quick break from my sponsor. If you're a dog owner like me, then you're already aware that, well, a dog's health can be complicated. In fact, sometimes it's hard to separate what is a healthy dog from an unhealthy dog. Well, Dr. Marty Goldstein, one of America's top holistic veterinarians, says there is one potentially dangerous substance which is found in many of your dog foods. In fact, you should stop feeding it to your dog immediately. The sad truth is that many dog food manufacturers have this substance in their dog food, and it's one of the most dangerous substances that your dog can have. And no surprise, most of the mainstream media is ignoring it. In fact, Dr. Marty, after years of research, has released an exclusive video for free to the public, by the way, and it's a video that's uninterrupted, and it showcases exactly what foods you should stop feeding your dog. And to check it out, all you have to do is go to healthydog1.com/haven. That's healthydog1.com/haven, or use your cell phone to scan the code on the screen. And just by making this one change to your dog, you can help support his overall health. So check it out today. I'm a dog lover. You are not going to want to miss this one. If you want more information, click that more button if you're on your cell phone, or click the link in the description box below. So what exactly is happening? We'll take a look at, let's go to the internet chatter to kick it off. This is Nick Sorto, and he posts this: anti-scale fencing is arriving at the White House by the truckload. This type of fencing is what's typically used during times of unrest or major national security events. What's happening? And he posts the picture there. And if you go down a little further, there's actually posts all about it here on the X page. You can see White House fencing. You can see some of the videos there. This is more of the fencing that went up, but there is an awful lot of chatter on the internet regarding this fencing, this anti-scale fencing that is going up over the White House. Now, I did dig into this in light of alerts that have been put out by our government. There's some things that we have to consider, but for starters, I believe that the reason for this fencing is because of a high-profile visit. That would be Netanyahu is now in town, and he's going to be visiting the president. But take a look at this information I found on Fox 5. And I'm going to expand on that because, honestly, I don't believe it's the only reason for the fencing, and I'm going to show you why in just a moment. But Fox 5, security tightens near White House ahead of high-profile visit. And this video... here you can see some of the fencing that's gone up and see what's going on. But definitely they've erected that all around the White House. But it goes on to state why. Truckloads of anti-scale fencing begin arriving Tuesday afternoon and continued into Wednesday morning. Fox's 5 Maureen Hume reports. Crews were seen welding and bolting the barriers into place, sealing off sections near the White House perimeter. The Secret Service confirms the heightened security is tied to a foreign dignitary visit, though officials have not named the individual. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to stop in to Washington after addressing the UN in New York later this week. A visit that is already drawing protests. And you can see that here. Netanyahu is in the U.S. to address the UN and have a meeting with Trump. I believe he is addressing the United Nations today, September 25th, but he's also scheduled to see the president, which ergo would explain the erecting of the fencing around the White House. Netanyahu says Trump to host him on September 29th, issues dire warning to Hamas over hostages. And that was on the Times of Israel. But look, here's the thing. Netanyahu is already faced a lot of threats, and right now things are so bad that he had to take a different flight pattern. Take a look at this, and this is on CNN World. Netanyahu takes unusual flight route over Europe amid threat of war crime arrest. So he's actually had to go in a different direction as well. But on top of all that, he's already facing protests against him here in the U.S. In fact, thousands are slated to attend. And this is on People's Dispatch. Netanyahu to face protest in New York City amid Trump's ban of Palestinian leaders at UNGA. Now, the article goes on. Thousands are expected to take the streets of New York on Friday, September 26th, to protest the visit of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the UN General Assembly. In line with what the warrant issued by the International Criminal Court, the ICC, activists are calling for the arrest of the Israeli leader who is accused of perpetrating war crimes against the Palestinian people. Friday's protest is organized by a broad coalition of groups. And you can see Palestinian Youth Movement, the Palestine Feminist Collective, the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights, the People's Forum, under the slogan, Arrest Netanyahu, Stop What's Going On in Israel. So we have all of that. So ergo, this fencing is going up, I think, to protect Netanyahu. Now, I am going to add that obviously I don't believe that that's the only reason the fencing is going up. Obviously, if there's some kind of mass protest out there in regards to Netanyahu's visit, it's going to take care of that as well. But we also have massive threats from Al-Qaeda right now. If you recall, just a couple of days ago on my channel, I dropped this document, and it's a warning to the American people, to people here in the U.S. about potential Al-Qaeda attacks, right? And how they can be conducted right here in the homeland. In fact, this warning went out to federal, state, local, tribe, territorial, and private sector. It went out to a lot of people. But basically, Al-Qaeda and its Yemen-based affiliate, right, are planning attacks on the homeland. They've written it out in different publications. These are 3 publications that they've said, hey, this is what I want to encourage you to do. Basically encouraging attacks on the homeland. And specifically, I think, kind of pro-Israel stuff, because obviously they really hate Benjamin Netanyahu. So that's the thing. We already have evidence of Al-Qaeda potential attacks on U.S. soil. So right now, in light of Benjamin Netanyahu being here, in light of the UN General Assembly, which is going on, I think Donald Trump is taking extra precautions because there is this threat from Al-Qaeda threatening to go after, by the way, and let me remind you right here, they encouraged via a video that they released, they called it Inciting Believers, but Al-Qaeda, at least their Arabian Peninsula, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula released it, but they said, we're calling for attacks against the president, ergo the fencing, the vice president, secretary of defense, members of Congress, their families, and the whole 9 yards, which is just heartbreaking. So I think some of that could obviously protect the president a little bit from that as well. Right. But mainly, I think it's for the protests. Let's say if some Al-Qaeda member unfortunately happened to be in the crowd and decided to do something stupid, hopefully there's added security for the sake of both of them, for the sake of Netanyahu, for the sake of President Trump, because right now we don't need more chaos and drama breaking out between Netanyahu and President Trump. We need an agreement made. We need some peace brought in the valley, and hopefully, that eventually happens in the Middle East. But we know how Bible prophecy ends. But with all of that, can't wait to hear your thoughts and concerns. Just thought I'd address this because I did have a couple messages from you guys. But with all that, I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.